In the dim glow of a rainy Seattle evening, Rebecca stood alone on the edge of the Aurora Bridge, her fingers gripping the cold metal railing as if it were the last thread holding her to this world. The wind whipped through her soaked hair, carrying the distant hum of traffic below like a mocking lullaby, and tears mingled with the downpour on her face. She had come here to end it all, the endless cycle of loss, the suffocating weight of failure that had crushed her spirit day by day. Her mind replayed the fragments of a life shattered, the divorce that left her penniless, the job she lost to relentless cutbacks, and worst of all, the custody battle that tore her 7-year-old daughter Hannah from her arms. Rebecca whispered a silent goodbye to the daughter she believed she'd never see again, her heart fracturing into irreparable pieces as she leaned forward, ready to let go. If you believe in the power of kindness and second chances, hit that like button, drop a comment below, sharing your own story of hope. Share this video with someone who needs it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more heart-touching tales that remind us we're never truly alone. Rebecca's journey to that bridge had been a long, tortuous path paved with good intentions and devastating missteps. Born in a small town in rural Washington, she had always dreamed of a stable family life, the kind she saw in old movies where love conquered all. She met her husband, Thomas, during her first year at community college, and they married young, full of optimism. Hannah arrived soon after, a bundle of joy with pigtails and a laugh that could light up the darkest room. But life in Seattle wasn't the fairy tale Rebecca envisioned. Thomas's job as a mechanic barely covered the bills, and when the economy dipped, arguments erupted like wildfires. He turned to the bottle, and Rebecca, desperate to hold things together, worked double shifts at a local diner, her hands raw from scrubbing plates and her back aching from endless hours on her feet. One night, after a particularly brutal fight, Thomas packed his bags and left, filing for divorce and accusing Rebecca of neglect due to her long work hours. The court, swayed by his polished lawyer and Rebecca's exhausted appearance, granted him full custody, deeming her unstable. Hannah was whisked away to live with her father in a suburb across town, and Rebecca was left with supervised visits that felt like cruel teases of what she'd lost. The months that followed blurred into a haze of despair. Rebecca moved into a cramped apartment in a rundown neighborhood, the walls thin enough to hear her neighbors' arguments echoing her own inner turmoil. She tried to fight back, attending parenting classes, scraping together money for a lawyer. But every step forward was met with 2 steps back. Her boss at the diner fired her after she missed a shift due to a panic attack, and without income, eviction notices piled up like autumn leaves. Friends drifted away, uncomfortable with her raw grief, and family back home offered platitudes, but no real help. Nights were the worst. Rebecca would lie awake, staring at Hannah's photo on her nightstand, imagining her daughter's voice calling out for bedtime stories. The pain gnawed at her soul, turning hope into ashes. She began skipping meals, her once vibrant eyes dulling with exhaustion, and thoughts of ending the suffering crept in like shadows at dusk. On that fateful evening, as storm clouds gathered over the city, Rebecca decided she couldn't bear another day of this emptiness. She wrote a farewell note, tucked it into her pocket, and headed to the bridge, the rain masking her sobs as she walked. As she stood there, the world fading into a gray oblivion, a figure approached from the mist-shrouded path. He was an older man, perhaps in his 60s, with a weathered face framed by a gray beard and kind eyes that seemed to hold stories of their own. Dressed in a simple raincoat, he moved with a quiet purpose, as if the storm didn't faze him. Rebecca barely noticed him at first, her gaze fixed on the churning waters of Lake Union below. But then he stopped beside her, his presence a gentle intrusion into her solitude. He didn't shout or grab her, instead he leaned in close, his voice a soft whisper cutting through the wind like a lifeline. The stranger murmured that her daughter needed her now, his words laced with an urgency that pierced Rebecca's fog of despair. She turned, startled, her heart pounding as if awakened from a nightmare. Who was he? How could he know about Hannah? The man didn't elaborate immediately. He simply placed a hand on the railing next to hers, his steady gaze urging her to step back from the edge. Confusion and a flicker of hope battled within Rebecca as she retreated a few paces, the rain now feeling less like an assault and more like a cleansing rinse. The stranger introduced himself as Paul, a retired social worker who volunteered at a local shelter. He explained that he had been walking his usual route when he spotted her, but it wasn't coincidence. He had seen Hannah earlier that day. Thomas, it turned out, had fallen deeper into his addictions, neglecting their daughter to the point where child services had intervened. Hannah was at a temporary foster home nearby, scared and asking for her mother. Paul had overheard the caseworker mentioning Rebecca's name and, recognizing the desperation in her posture on the bridge, pieced together the connection. He had no official role, but his years in the field had taught him to spot those on the brink, and something, perhaps fate, perhaps divine intervention, compelled him to speak. Rebecca's knees buckled at the revelation, tears streaming anew, but this time mixed with a tentative relief. Paul offered her his umbrella and a ride to the foster home, his calm demeanor anchoring her as they drove through the slick streets of Seattle. Arriving at the modest house in a quiet neighborhood, Rebecca's hands trembled as she knocked on the door. The foster mother, a warm woman named Martha, opened it with a knowing smile, ushering them inside where Hannah sat on the living room floor, coloring with crayons. The girl's eyes lit up like stars when she saw Rebecca, and she leaped into her mother's arms, burying her face in Rebecca's neck. The embrace was a balm to wounds Rebecca thought would never heal. The scent of Hannah's shampoo, the feel of her small body clinging tight, the whispered, "Mommy, I missed you," that echoed in her soul. In that moment, the world realigned. The struggles of the past months paled against this reunion. Paul stood back, his role fulfilled, but he shared contact information for support groups and legal aid, reminding Rebecca that help was available if she reached out. In the weeks that followed, Rebecca's life began to transform. With Paul's guidance, she connected with a pro bono lawyer who reopened the custody case, highlighting Thomas's instability and Rebecca's determination to rebuild. She found a job at a community center, counseling others facing similar battles, her own pain forging empathy that made her effective. Hannah returned home, their apartment now filled with laughter and routine, breakfasts together, park visits on sunny days, bedtime stories that wove dreams of brighter futures. Rebecca attended therapy, learning to navigate her grief and build resilience, each session peeling away layers of doubt. The bridge, once a symbol of her lowest point, became a reminder of the stranger's whisper that saved her, a testament to how one act of kindness could redirect a life's course. As challenges arose, financial hiccups, co-parenting tensions, Rebecca faced them with newfound strength, drawing on the community she had discovered. Hannah thrived, her drawings now featuring happy families under rainbow skies, and Rebecca marveled at the girl's resilience mirroring her own. Seattle's rains no longer felt oppressive. They washed away the old, making way for growth. Paul became a friend, checking in occasionally, his quiet wisdom a steady influence. Through it all, Rebecca realized that giving up would have robbed not just her, but Hannah, of the love they both deserved. Life wasn't perfect, but it was theirs to shape, one step at a time. Before we wrap this up, I'd love to hear from you. What would you whisper to someone on the edge? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched your heart and reminded you of the unbreakable bond between a parent and child, please like, comment with your reflections, share it far and wide, and subscribe for more stories that celebrate the human spirit's capacity for redemption and love.